Hello everyone, this is Andrew from Crown Academy of English. Today's lesson is part 3 about time expressions. So this is part 3 of a series of videos about time expressions. And in this lesson you will learn 7 new expressions. So let's start. To have a whale of a time. To have a whale of a time. So this means to enjoy yourself very much. To have a very good time. Example. David asks, "How was your holiday?" And Jane replies, "It was great. We had a whale of a time. We had a whale of a time." Okay? So, to have a very good time. Time is money. So this means that time is valuable. So if you waste time, then you waste money. So when you say this to someone, when you say time is money, you're telling them to stop wasting time. Okay, let me give you an example. The manager says, "When will the reports be finished?" And Mark says, "Next week." Well, the manager says, "Please finish them today. Time is money." Okay, so the manager is telling Mark to work more quickly. Okay, because time is money. If he spends too much time working on the reports, it's costing money. Okay, so you say this to someone when you want them to go more quickly, to do something more quickly. Time will tell. Time will tell. So we say time will tell when we are waiting to see what happens in the future. We will discover in the future the result of the present situation. So let me give you an example. Mark says, "My exam was difficult." And Jane says, "Do you think that you have passed?" And Mark replies, "I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell." So Mark is saying, well, I will wait to see what happens in the future. Time will tell, it's very similar to "we will see" or "I will see." Okay, so it's basically you're waiting, yes, you're waiting to see what happens. Okay, you are waiting to discover in the future the consequences of something or the result of something. Claire says, "I have invited Sarah to the party." And David says, "Well, is she going to come?" And Claire replies, "I'm not sure. Time will tell." So I'm not sure. We will see. Okay, so we will see at the party whether Sarah comes or not. Okay? We are waiting to see what happens. For the time being. So this means temporarily or not permanently. So it's when something happens but it is not forever. So it's something that happens only for a limited period. Okay, it's not forever and ever. So it's something that's happening just for the moment. It's a similar meaning to the word meanwhile. So let me give you an example. Mark doesn't have a car. So this is the context. Mark doesn't have a car. He walks to the office for the time being. Okay, so he doesn't yet have a car. He's going to buy a car soon. So He walks to the office for the time being, temporarily, while he's waiting to buy a car. Okay, so it's not permanently. He's not going to walk to the office every day. Soon he will have a car. Okay, so we could also say he doesn't have a car yet. He's going to buy a car, and meanwhile he walks to the office. Okay, so for the time being, for the moment, he walks to the office, but maybe next month he will buy a car and he'll go buy a car. Okay, time after time. If something happens time after time, it happens repeatedly. If something happens time after time, it happens again and again. Okay, so it's something that happens often, the same thing over and over, again and again. Mark loses his keys time after time. So it means he repeatedly loses his keys. Okay, it's something he does often. David is late for work time after time. Okay, so he is late for work again and again, repeatedly. This is also the name of a song from the 1980s, I think it was, by Cyndi Lauper, I think it was, Time After Time. From time to time. So this is different, slightly different. If something happens from time to time, it happens occasionally. It happens sometimes. If something happens from time to time, it doesn't happen often. It does not happen often. It happens only occasionally, from time to time. I visit London from time to time. So this means perhaps I visit London once every 2 years maybe. So not often, occasionally. My grandmother calls me from time to time. Okay, so every now and again, maybe 2 or 3 times a year maybe. Okay, occasionally, from time to time. Not very frequently, not often. And finally, this is a very good one. Can you guess what this means? This is an informal, very informal expression. To do time. Can you guess? Well, this is quite an unusual expression. It means to spend a period of time in prison. In prison. So if someone is doing time, it means that they are in prison. Okay, they have been convicted of a crime and they are in prison. Okay, to do time. And the form is to do time for, and then the name of the crime. So to do time for, followed by the type of crime that they have committed. So let me give you an example. So here is prison. So someone is in prison here. So John is doing time for theft. So doing time for the name of the crime. Theft. And we can also have other types of crime here. So maybe John is doing time for fraud, murder, rape, assault, burglary. So those are examples. I'm not going to give you the definition of these crimes. I recommend you look up these words in a dictionary, okay, to find out the meaning. So this is the form to do time. It means to be in prison, to spend time in prison, to carry out your sentence in prison. And the form is to do time for, followed by the name of the crime, the type of crime. Okay, so there we are. That's the end of the lesson. If you are preparing for the IELTS exam, then click here for information about our IELTS online course. And here are some other videos that I recommend.